Hey everybody, my name is Jay Gordon. I am a senior product manager and I work within the Azure Cosmos DB team. And let me tell you, I am so happy to be back here with you at the November 2023 edition of the Azure Cosmos DB Global User Group. So what do we do here? Well, we get together once a month and we try to involve members of our community to talk about what they're building with Azure Cosmos DB. And we tend to learn some really great stuff. We also have some people from Microsoft, we have some engineers, we have some people in products, but I really do like to focus on the people who are within our community. And today we've got a really great community member. And you can be one of those community members too that present. I will at some point, I'll put in the chat how you the viewer, and even if you're watching on YouTube, I mean you, even though this has been on already, I want you to be part of one of these sessions. So if you've got something great to talk about when it comes to Azure Cosmos DB, don't worry. You can fill out this form. I'll put it in the chat also, and you can deliver one of the sessions here. I really can't wait to see you. I've got so much free space after January for all of you because we've got one the next month in December. We'll be talking about that a little bit later on. Anyhow, we have so much to do. We don't have a ton of time to do it in. So let's get to the big things that we have to get done. I have Askia. You join me every month and you help me get things set. And so welcome back. How are you today?
Good. How you doing, Jay?
I'm doing great. I just want to say we love the Reactor. The Reactor does so many amazing things for everybody who's building content, sharing content. But in order for us to have a great experience with the Reactor, we need to make sure we have some housekeeping done. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm bringing up your slide. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about it?
Yeah, thank you. Like Jay said, my name is Askia. I'm the facilities coordinator for the Redmond Reactor space, but virtually we are all together as one. So before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping tips. Before the session gets started, we want to make sure, just take a look at our code of conduct. We encourage engagement in the chat, but we want you to be professional. Please stay on topic and please be respectful of others. That's probably the key things. We are going to share useful links throughout the chat, as you've seen, and the session will be recorded and it's going to be available on our Microsoft YouTube channel within 24 to 48 hours after this broadcast. That brings us to today's session. Jay has already given us a little bit of info on that, but Jay, why don't you let people know what we can expect?
Sure, and we will be talking more. Hey, there's Frito. He's here to check out what's going on. But I know you and I will be checking out how we'll be closing out the session in just a little while. So thank you. I will see you later.
All right.
Great. So we've got another great session. But before we kind of get into it, I want to just level set one particular big part of what's going on right now. And what is it? It's Microsoft Ignite 2023. We want you to register. I will put the link inside of the chat as well. But oh wait, what is this? Uh-oh. Little classic Microsoft Windows for you there. Cool. But now let's talk a little bit about the session. But I want you to register for Microsoft Ignite. I will be there out in Seattle, but you can watch a lot of stuff here online. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about low code. And so many of you may be wondering, what is low code? Well, straightforward low code is a software development approach that requires some minimal hand coding to build applications and processes. It uses a visual development environment where users can drag and drop application components, connecting them together and to create a complete application. Low-code platforms enable developers of various experiences to create applications for web, mobile, pre-built templates, or I should say using pre-built templates, modules, and functions. So the approach is just to kind of significantly reduce the complexity of what it takes to write software. And what it's really doing more than anything is it's creating an entire generation of what we like to call citizen coders. People who wouldn't necessarily be writing code in the past, they're given new opportunities to be able to produce applications, write code, but without all the knowledge that it took to go and take, I don't know, a C++ course in a university and get a CS degree. But that's not the only way to learn how to code. Now, I've got a guest with me today from a great company called ToolJet. His name is Teja. Hi, Teja. How are you today?
Hi, Jai. I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
You know, I am great. I am really, really excited to learn a lot about this subject. I know a little bit about low code. I've seen some of the great platforms. I know here at Microsoft, we have stuff like Power Platform that really helps people. But there are tools out there that other people can use to help them build applications without, like I said, sitting down and understanding all the syntax within Python or .NET, things like that. But before we get into things and before I start asking you the big questions, I really want to know a little bit about you, Teja. How exactly did you get to a point where you are here with us today? What was your travels and your road in IT?
Awesome. As I said, I'm a developer. I'm currently working as a developer advocate at ToolJet. But the thirst in me to be into this profession of what is called as the developer relations aspect of it, has been there for a very long time. From the time when I was spending my days, addressing my curriculum in college, right? So I was just, it's always there. But the whole aspect of me being into developer advocacy is more about the alignment of what I'm wanting to do along with the role that is currently available in the market. Right. So that's where I've gotten to. So when I look back and see what I can do, what is that I'm wishing to do forward for, and what is majorly needed, and then looked into the sector, and that's where the developer relations part came in, and that's where I'm in. So I'm working, I started as a developer advocate into the relations team and still there. So but currently I'm a ToolJet. It's a open source product, so I'm more focused towards open source, and also be, it's also a part of my job where I have also need to be a maintainer of the the project called ToolJet. You're on mute.
This is what happens when I try to open up a beverage and I don't want to hit the crack sound, and then I forgot to unmute. Great. So low code, it's a really important subject nowadays, like I said, to introduce those citizen coders. But one of the things I'd love to ask is, how exactly is ToolJet fitting into that low code story?
Oh, okay. So essentially, the whole aspect of ToolJet here is majorly about addressing, bringing efficiency to the engineering teams. So what I mean by that, when developers are also all people, or whoever spend their time in building applications, they usually look for a lot of approaches to bring efficiency to their whole process. Not only about the code quality or the amount of time it takes to bring you and reduce the latency, or all in that level of efficiency, but also into the part of the process. So but I'm pretty sure that you would have already used some internal tools in your company, and you would currently be using as well, right? So you would possibly have some internal tools that was built for only for your team, or some teams just for the internal purposes, right? So these tools, right, these are beside the business model of a company. Right now, Microsoft or any of the companies, they have their own major goal, but also, in order to make things efficient and also more smoother, they need some internal tools to be built for some purposes, right? So but we just as a thought of admire that if you wanted to have an internal tool, it doesn't it does also take a lot of effort from the teams. They need to put their efforts in terms of, like, they usually have their own um, stories, and also they will have their own weekly cycles to actually maintain and build these internal tools, right? So but these are again besides the major goal of the company. Now that you wanted to see what are the other approaches, what are those possible approaches that you can actually cut down these efforts that you're putting into build an internal tools, and focus more on the business of the product, right? So the business product, what I mean by that. So yeah, that's the whole idea, where with the help of the low code solution like ToolJet, right, you can just build apps so quick, and even reduce the amount of time that you spend to maintain as well. Not only building, but also the maintenance part of it, because you would not need to worry about APIs, and you'll not need to build the servers and everything, right? You don't need to even worry about the front end, and also the APIs that you need to connect to make requests. All of these things are readily available, that you can just put it things connect together and then make some requests, because majority of the internal tools are more or less some of the calls that you need to make to a different data source or a different services, right? It more or less a calls. So if that is the case, then actually ToolJet, and you can also do a lot more currently. ToolJet also bringing workflows and some Git sync. These are all coming, but yeah, essentially internal tools. And then, as I said, your internal tools, they need to be internal. So why not do being it open source, right? So when you keep it internal, so it's better you choose an open source thing, and then host it, and then start building things for you and keep it within yourself. So yeah, that's the context.
So you mentioned open source and how ToolJet is an open source product, or project for that matter. I'm not sure whether you refer to it as a project or a product. It always tends to be different. Like, there are companies that create what they call open source, but they're really products, and their licenses are a bit restrictive. So I'm curious, what kind of licensing does ToolJet have, and how does that empower users to be involved in the development process?
Got it. Okay. So, with respect to a project level, ToolJet has versions of it because it's a company. So, if you go to our GitHub repository, so github.com/tooljet/tooljet. So that is a repository where you can find. So it's currently around 25,000 stars in GitHub. So The idea here is the code base, what you see there is a community edition. So which means that you can actually take it. So that's where I'm calling it as a project, where you can actually, it's driven by community, where there's some, some aspects of the product has been built by developers or the contributors across the globe. So that's as a specific thing. But ToolJet also comes with a enterprise edition or a business plans with it, where it talks as a product, where you have some or other enterprise level kind of a features. So if you are sticking as a developer and gonna go with the community edition, the repo what you have shared is right up there. But it's going in a more deeper and wider range of access for the whole teams inside a company. You need SSOs and some of the enterprise features that essentially needed for a company to be more smoother. So that's where the product aspect of enterprise edition of ToolJet comes in. But as a open source thing, the repository what you have shared there is the go-to source.
Sure. So you're essentially creating, I would imagine, a hosted platform version that's for the enterprise, and then
Mhm.
a community edition which someone can run if they want to load it up in a container and have it run and utilize it that way. I'm sure that's what you would do. Anyhow, the one other question I wanted to ask you, and then I'd really love to take a look at this, is integrating this product into other sources. And so one of the things that I know, regardless of whether you're building with low code or you're building something where you're just sitting in front of VS Code plugging away, a lot of applications require a data source, someplace that will contain all the information, store the information that you will eventually need in order to present your application or, say, run reports, whatever it is. How does ToolJet do some integration with something like Azure Cosmos DB?
Oh yeah, so that is also something we're going to go look and deep dive into at the same time. So ToolJet has a couple of aspects here. So not only ToolJet, but generally low code aspect has some of the approaches to build applications. So talking specifically about ToolJet, the UI part has been taken care with the UI components. So it has its own components that you can drag and drop and build your UI, and that's how you can populate as well. But when you come to the part of bringing the data, as you are referring to as data sources, so it's the same thing what we call inside ToolJet as well. So currently ToolJet has integrations already ready, which means that you can just choose those integrations and give your credentials. You just need to set your credentials, and then the moment you set the connection ready, it's right away that you can bring the data into your application and populate and feed, or arrange in a way that you can build your own dashboards, or access control managers, or any of the internal tools that you wanted to build for. So yeah, currently ToolJet has around integrations with almost 20 databases, if I'm not wrong, and some of the lot of services and APIs at the same time, some cloud storage services, which also includes one of the keys thing is a Cosmos DB, where you can, the moment we get into the integration, and you would need to give your URL that Cosmos DB usually referred, and then you would need a key. And the moment you just hit save, you're done. So you can just bring the data from your databases and build apps with it.
Gotcha. Well, I know it's working. Is it using the native NoSQL as well as the open source, or are we just using the open source APIs
For the Cosmos or for the ToolJet?
for Cosmos?
Oh, Cosmos. I've signed up an account, and then I was there in NoSQL.
Okay, because we've
Yeah,
got support for NoSQL. We've
yeah.
got which is our native tooling, which stores everything in documents and allows you to use like a SQL-like query language. And then we've got Postgres, which tried and true relational database, and MongoDB, which is a well-known document database. And I've looked at your integrations, and it looks like you have support for all of them. So it looks like it's a matter of just having the proper connection strings or keys or things like that to be able to have communication. And I suppose if you're working on the Azure side, you might have to set up some network security rules in order to permit a connection from an outside source like that. But I'm getting way deep into the weeds on just these things. What I really need to do now is take a look at what you've got to show us.
Yeah.
So, Teja, why don't I bring up your demo and let me give you some space. If you have questions as the session goes on, please put them in the chat. We will get to them as soon as possible. We really want to hear from you. This is a collaborative session. So feel free to ask questions, and or if you have comments, just put them in the chat. Other than that, Teja, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay. So yeah, this is a simple demo application that I've just created, so that, we'll be actually building this by the end of the call. So that's the whole intention. So what are we looking at here is, if you see that this is a Azure Cosmos DB browser. So I know there is a data explorer inside the Cosmos DB, the portal, but yeah, the intention is here to show you how you can actually build apps with ToolJet, which are built on top of Cosmos DB. So as a synergy, like how we can do this, the easiest and simple use case that I've seen, where we can have a simple browser, which does not have much complicated aspects and different accesses as how the portal has, but more as a browser where you can browse through the data and also add some items into the tables, or what do you call it as, right? So here you see that there is a Azure Cosmos DB browser. So then here you need to choose a database. For now, I only have one, which is e-commerce DB. And the moment I choose it, you should be able to see the containers, or we call here some collection. Sorry, I think it's, I can stick to a SQL kind of style and then show you. So I can call these as some, tables inside some databases. But yeah, Jay, you can stop me and, correct me where I'm missing some terminology here. So, and once you choose a specific item, you should be able to see the data inside it, right? So that's how simple the app you're going to build. So it's all pretty straightforward. Or you can build this thing from ToolJet Cloud. So which means that you can go to tooljet.com and you can sign up, or you can just try it for free, or you can log in and try it out, or you can actually go to our GitHub repository and then set this up. We have docs, so you go to docs.tooljet.com, and once you're there, you have setup. So here you can choose the specific type of self-hosting or setuping ToolJet in your local machine and try the same thing. Okay. For the ease of purpose, if you're following it up with me, you can choose to sign up for tooljet.com for trying it out and then make a choice as per your needs. Right. So yeah, this as simple as that. And then another feature here is just need to choose to add a new row. So you just click on new row and then you can add some rows into it. So while you click save, you should be able to find an item added into the table here. Okay, so this is what we're going to build. So the whole data, what you see here, is coming from Cosmos DB. So let us go back to the portal, the Azure portal, and see how our data was set it up and how we can bring this data into ToolJet and start using it. Okay, so yeah, this should be quite familiar for you. So I'm in the data explorer part. So if you look at my overview, it's just I have a user group, resource group, set it up. I've just quickly created this. I'm on a free trial, so I have a limited experience with Cosmos DB, but I've tried enough and I had a good time learning about these things. I've created all of this, so it was quite fun and also a lot of easy compared to different sources I've tried before. So yeah, having said that, so the data you have here is the database you have here is the e-commerce DB, which you have seen there, and then a couple of containers in it. You have payments, and choose to see payments. There are only a limited number of things, so I've just created this for some demoing purpose. So the data what I put here also very simple, so that you don't charge some you would need to charge more resource units. I don't know, but yeah, I've just kept it so simple, so you can just browse through some of the objects here. So yeah, what we'll be doing here is, given that we have this data here, we will be bringing it to inside ToolJet, and then start using it or building apps with it. So let's go create an app similar, exactly like this. All right. So maybe I can switch my screen share. If Jay, if you can help me, I just want to quickly switch the screen share into a different screen.
Sure, go ahead. Whenever you're ready, just go ahead and hit the screen share.
Yeah. So,
and while you're doing that, I just want to remind everybody, if you got questions, feel free to ask. had a little recursion there. I'll let you get to this. There we go. No problem. All right. You might want to just go on the bottom and click that little hide on that bottom square. There you go. All
It's
right.
gone. Okay.
Cool. I'll let you get back to it.
Very good. All right. So here you go. So once you sign up into ToolJet, this is where you'll be landing in. This should be the welcome screen for you. And right up there, what we would be needing to do here is to first connect the Cosmos DB to the ToolJet, so that you will be able to bring the data from Cosmos DB to ToolJet and start building apps with it. So the first step is straightforward. So let me zoom it a bit so that it should be convenient for you to look. So first thing, you need to go to the data source section, which is in the left sidebar. Click on that. And once you're up there, you should be able to see all the different integrations that ToolJet supports. There are some APIs, cloud storage, and different all of that. But what we are looking into is Cosmos DB here. So you can just click on Add, and it will take you to a window where you'd be needing to give some credentials for it. So you need an endpoint and you need a key. So for the endpoint and key, I'll get back to the portal and actually bring this here. So I'll just go to key section. So once I'm up there, I should be copying the URI. Also, I'll be using the primary key here. So not exposing here, but just I had it copied somewhere so that I can paste it directly there. So the URI is this, and the key is going to be primary key. So you just copy the URI and then get up there, paste it to the endpoint, and key is something I'm going to get from. Oh, okay. So I'll just bring it there. So I'm going to copy this. Quickly done, and I'm pasting it here. So yeah, key is ready and the endpoint is also set it up. So now you just make a test connection. It should be green. So you just see that the connection is verified, which means the connection is successfully successfully connected, and you can save this. There you go. So it's now ready, which means that you can now access data inside your Cosmos DB into ToolJet. Okay. So yeah, you're now successfully connected. So it's that simple. So within a matter of minutes, you're done connecting. And once you're up there, you just come to the dashboard from here, and right up there, you can create a new app. So while you click on that, you can just title the application. So you can just say it as Cosmos DB browser. You can just say create app, and this will be taking into the whole application builder. So this is what we call as an application builder, which means that this is the place where you will be building your app. So the whole empty space here as a playground is for you to build the front end of the application. And how do you build the front end? So that's where you come up with the components. So we'll be using this whole right side part, all of these components to actually drag and drop into the canvas, and then build the UI of the application. And then coming back to the part of the bringing data from the data source, which is Cosmos DB, we'll be pulling up this query panel in the bottom. So you see this, you have a query panel. This is in the bottom of the page. As you click on that, you should be able to bring up the query panel right up here. There you go. And you should be able to find the available data source is Cosmos DB, which is currently connected, which we have just connected, right? So yeah, so the UI part going to go here in the canvas. This is called canvas, and the components manager here in the right, and then the query panel in the bottom. Left side, you have some left side bar, which has a couple of options to explore. But yeah, we would not need to look into that aspect much. But majorly the canvas, components manager, and then the query panel. Okay, so first and the foremost thing, let's actually see the data coming into ToolJet and then build the UI of it. Okay, so for that, let's actually bring all for a browser, we need to list all the databases. Okay, so if you just look at we have what databases we have in our account. So if you go to Data Explorer, I only had one, so which is e-commerce DB. So let's see if we can bring this inside the ToolJet. Okay, so here I am. I'm going to choose this data source as a first step. So click on the data source that is connected, Cosmos DB, and then we can name this why. Okay, let me try that again. All right, so you just need to say get databases. So I hope you can see that, get databases, and then you have the data source, and the operation. What I'm going to do is list databases. Okay, and then I'm just going to go and preview this. So while you click preview, there you go. You just got the e-commerce DB into your application. So this is that straightforward. If you had multiple other databases, you should be able to find a couple of other databases. The names of other DBs will be listed here. Okay, so that's simple. So what I'm going to do, actually populate this into a UI aspect, where I'm going to use a drop down for this, assuming I'm having a lot of other databases too, but just that given I only have one, even though we'll go with a drop down and populate this there, and the moment you choose that, you should be able to get the data in it. Now that you're clear, like we are connected successfully and also being able to bring the data into ToolJet, let's actually go and build the UI of it. Okay, so first and foremost, let's go and place a container to hold all the different other components. So this is called a container here. So just search for container, and then you should be able to find it at the first. Drag and drop into the canvas. It's all the matter of a little time that you can spend to beautify the UI, but I'm not going to focus on the beautification part more, or I'm going to look or dive deeper into the functionality part and see how you can utilize these both products and build your own applications quickly. Okay, so I've just kept a simple container so that it will work as a background or a holder for different other components. So for us to list all the databases, I'm going to go and put a what do you call that? A drop down. So you see that you search for drop down and you got the drop down here. So I'm going to use this and place it here. And populate this to actually hold all the data names of the databases. Okay, so I'm also gonna change this default text, which is select. How you do it? You just click on this component. Okay, you just keep an eye here. So if you just it's currently components. All you need to do is to click on this specific item. So just click on the specific component, and you should be able to find it changes, right? So you just keep an eye here. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. So click on the drop down, and there you go. It brought the properties and styles of the selected component. For us, it's drop down, and the label, which is currently by default, is select. Maybe we can say select database. And then here you see the default value and the option values are all there. So 1, 2, 3, so which are again default. We wanted to change and update it to the actual data which is coming from the Cosmos DB data source. Okay, how do you do it? So given we have this which has e-commerce DB in it, so let me quickly run it so that it will be accessible for us to use straight away. Okay, so as you know, the query name is get databases. So all you need to do is to we can set the we can just keep the empty. The default value will be nothing now. So just that we'll put the option values here and take it off and just start with double curly braces, which will be helping you to write JavaScript right over here, which we call as code hinters or code blocks. And now you can just say queries, right? The moment you say queries, you got auto suggestions of what queries you have already created. The one we created is get databases. As you click on that, you should see .data. Okay, so now you can see that the queries get database in Stripe is pretty much available there. Okay, so as you click on that, you should be able to also put it for the labels and see if that populates. There you go. You see that? So what I've done is I've created a query first, which brings the list of the databases, and now I've created a component and I've connected the data, the query and the component through these curly braces from the properties of the component. So that's pretty much. So what I'm doing is I'm accessing queries get databases.data, and there you go. You've got this up. Okay. So while I choose this, so that's how you selected. That's how we can select the database. Now the next aspect is about bringing the containers, or you can call it as a a set of tables or anything or anything that respective to the API that you choose maybe. So but I'm going to go strict calling it containers at broad level. So the moment I choose this specific database, I want to list all the containers of it. All right, so for that I'm going to hold all those containers in a table. So let me go and search for a table component, and you can see that I've got a table here. I'm going to drag and drop it to here the same way how I did for the drop down. So let me minimize this a bit so I can just squeeze it and move it to the left a little more. Okay, there you go. This should be fine. So this UI, what we have here, The data what you see inside here is something that you are getting the dummy data, which is this is the dummy data that you are finding it here, but we'll be replacing it to the actual data. At the same time, if you we'll be populating the rows of this table with the containers of this specific selected database. So we'll also title this something like, we can just say, we can use a text component, this one, and then add it there and just say these are going to be containers. Can style it, go for it, and put it something like 14 or 16. That should be fine. And yeah, so at the same time, I also wanted to, the moment I select on a specific container, I also wanted to show the data in it, right? So that's where I'm going to use another table and add it. So I'm completing the UI part first before we bring the actual data. Okay, so minimize this. Okay, there you go. So now you have another table to hold values. So yeah, we have two tables. One is for holding the containers, and the moment you select a specific container, you should be able to find the data in that container. Okay, so we'll also title this something. So you can just copy this and paste it, and we just put it up there and just say something like data. Okay, there you go. So I think we are good with UI. Pretty minimalistic, super simple, so that we can focus more on bringing the data and populating it. So no more UI work. We are done with UI. Just that we'll connect we'll populate the containers here and actually show the data inside of each of these containers on select. So the moment you select each one, you should be able to find there. Okay. So let's pull up the query panel now. Back to the query panel for bringing the data from the Cosmos DB. Once you're up here, let's go create a new query. You can do it by clicking on the add button, and then you have the Cosmos DB ready. Click on that, and first let's get the containers. So here, let's name it as get containers. So I hope you can see that. Okay, that's good. So now the operation, we have a list of all the different operations that are ready to choose and bring. So what is the relevant one for us? So it's going to be list containers. That's simple. So choose the data source, select the operation, which is going to be list containers, because we're going to get all the containers, and the database. So it's going to be a little dynamic. Given we have only one option, but then yeah, we need to bring and set the value here very dynamically. Okay, so how you access the value in it, you just need to go with the same approach. You can just say double curly braces, and now gonna say components dot, the component is going to be drop down, right? Drop down one, and then dot value. Okay, so pretty much there. So you can see that it's auto populated, which is e-commerce DB. So now you have this thing dynamically set it up, which means that the moment you change the option here, you should be able to find it changing here. Okay, so let's go quickly preview this, which means we are making a text connection. So yeah, you can see that the payments, orders, and products and customers is right up there. Okay, so that's how you can bring the data here into ToolJet. So you have this all the containers that are ready to put into the table. But yeah, to surprise you, if I just put it up there, but it quickly breaks, or it actually the UI couldn't be it might not be fitting, because if you notice the container, so the table one dummy data, if you notice the format of this data is a little different. So you have this is a JSON style. You have a JSON and you have each and every object in it, and then each of this represents a specific row or a data item in a row, sorry, in a table, right? But then if you look at the data what we have got here in the preview, it's more it's pretty much an array, right? You can just notice that. So this is not a JSON thing, but now the table accepts, and it only accepts a JSON thing. So now it's important for us to convert, to transform. The better word is to transfer this data and make it a JSON, so that can be accepted by this table and formatted well. Okay, so how you do this? You have this option called transformations. So here you see that the transformations option in the same query panel. So you just need to enable this, which means now you can actually access the data in it. So if the data object here, this is where you will be having the data of the query. So the get containers, which means this array, the data the array payments, orders, products, and customers is actually accessible by the object data from this code editor. Okay, so now I'm gonna convert this array into a JSON so that it can be fitting into the table. So how you do this? You can just create a constant saying object data is equals to data dot. You can just map and say I'm just putting as a name, and then you have name with curly braces in it, so that, and just return the object data. Okay, let's quickly try. Maybe I'll put these things and just preview. Now pay some. We need to pay a little close attention here. Just preview this, and then there you go. Look at that. You got separate keys. Now I've just written this. Sorry, I've just wrote the transformation on the go, so that we can. This still works because if you see the raw data, this is going to be a JSON object. So let's go. And now you have this get containers. Let's remove this dummy data here and actually connect or actually set the data from the query to the component. So you just queries dot get containers dot data. All right. So now that we have connected the data, let me quickly run the query by clicking on this button. Just run it, and then you should be able to find it's populating in the UI. So yeah, we are good. So while you okay, so you have got the table, and now you have got all the containers item in a table. Now the next move or the next step is actually the moment you select on each container, I wanted to see the data of it, right? So that's where you can go and use create a new query, which will be helping us to bring the data of a specific container. Choose the data source and just say get data. Just simple. So just say get data, and it's going to be Cosmos DB and the operation. Can you guess what operation we're going to use? List database, list containers, read item, insert item, delete item, query database. But yeah, if you guessed it, I think we're going to go use query database here. So the database, what we're going to go is the selected one, which is e-commerce DB. Accessing it dynamically, you can just say components dot drop down dot value. So e-commerce DB and the container. So for the container, we're going to go choose the one which is selected. So in order for you to differentiate how the selected one looks like, it either looks like the one which is with check mark on. This is the selected row, or you can also have another option. So hide column, maybe. Okay, I don't think I can show you that, but yeah, pretty much the way how you know which row is selected is by looking at this the check toggle row select something, right? So yeah, the container which is going to be accessed from the table data. So the same way how we're going to go access is components dot table one dot selected row. So if I zoom out, you should be able to find the actual suggestions. So you see that selected row, and in selected row dot name, and that is order. So now these things are getting populated dynamically. So I've got the database name, which is e-commerce DB, and then we got a container, which is orders. This is one which is selected, the selected row and the name, and the query. So this query is going to be pretty straightforward. So we're going to say select everything. We're going to bring everything. So select everything from C. Container. So let me preview this. And there you go. So we got the data. So this is pretty much how you can bring the data right up there. So let's quickly populate this. It's the same thing we are doing for third time. We just need to click on the table, go to the default data, remove this, and say queries dot get data dot data. All right. So yeah, let me run this, and the moment I run this, you should be able to find the orders table values. But yeah, here's the catch. Although now you got the data and populated inside the view but the moment I click on a different container, the data should be changing dynamically, right? I just need to click on this, and then it should change. But this is not happening the way I'm expected, right? I'm how you do this. So it's going to be pretty straightforward again. So the moment you click on a specific row, you need to perform an action where you wanted to run this get data again, right? So here is the way. So now to give you an example, now I selected products, and now if I run this, the data changes. Okay, Seems like something, yeah, it is not selected, so it is now selected. Let's click on run, and now you got the products data. You selected the customer, and then you need to run it again. So now you got the real data, the appropriate data, payments, run it. So what's happening here is the moment you choose a specific row, you need to run this. So why don't we put an event? So we just configure an event the moment you choose a select on row select. Now, what do you think about that? You just on selecting a row, I need to run a query. This is the query, and then that should populate the table. So there's going to be an event. So let's go create add an event on this table. So how you do it? Just click on this table, and then you just get into the properties, and then you see there is a section for events, right? So you just need to add new event handler, and the event handler, for that you need to configure the event is going to be row clicked. So if you could able to notice, that's what we've been doing so far. The moment I row click, I want to run an action which is going to be run query. So the moment I click on a row, I wanted to run a query, and then the query is going to get data. Okay, right? So this is a pretty straightforward. So let's now try it out. The event is created. Let's try clicking on products now. The one which you are seeing here is the orders. Let's click on products, and there you go. The products is there, and customers, and there you go. So to make it look more compelling a little, so we can add a loader here. While the query loads and brings the data, you can have a loader showing you the waiting status. So you can go to the table properties, and you see that there is a loading state option, the property which you can add, choose effects, which means you can write condition it. You can just say queries dot get data dot is loading, which means that this gives the loading state. If it is loading, it's true. If it is not, it's false. So currently it is not, it's false. So now if you go switch the products, you should be able to find a loading state there. But I think I added to the different one. Okay, I added to this table, which is not needed. Let me show it to you once again. So, oh, it's there. It's there. Yeah, it's correct. Okay. Oh, okay. Now I know. Now I got it. So it's actually it's because of the UI of the screen. So if I just go from there, yeah, there you go. So the resolution is a little less. So that's how you missed the loader. So while I scrolled it to the left side, now you should be able to find the loader coming and showing you the different data. Okay. But yeah, that's pretty straightforward on how you can bring the data and show it here. But let's look at the last aspect and also something more interesting on updating, or I mean, maybe we can do it as an insert item. So let's in products, we currently have around how many products do we have? We have 6 products, right? So let's create one more product. Like, do you want to create a new product right from here, not going to database and doing it? So let's quickly do it. It's as simple as that. You just need to create a new query, and then the query, we're going to go, the operation is going to be insert item, right? So you're going to go choose the insert item, click on that, and then the database. So database is going to be e-commerce DB components dot top down one dot value. So it's going, the container is going to be selected of table components dot table one dot selected row dot name. There you go. So I hope you're clear. I'm bringing the database name from the drop down, and also I'm getting the container name from the table, which is the selected row's name. And then we're gonna go give the format for the item that you wanted to add. Okay. So while I configure this, I wanted to show you how you can access the data while you do it. So let me put this down and then get into table. So in order for you to add a new item to the row, you need to click on this button, which is add new row here in the bottom. While you click on that, you get a new view, which allows you to add the fields of it, right? So I'm going to add product ID, product name, and price. These are the 3 things which I'm interested in. These are things that are auto generated by the Cosmos DB, and also I can also add ID here. Okay. So product ID, product name, and price. So if I give something like, what do you say? Oh, I'm running out of the words, but you can just say mobile. And the product ID is, you can say 7 and say mobile, and then the price is something like this, right? So this is something we are giving in the UI, but we wanted to access this data and actually set this here in the items so that we can make a request which will save into the database. Okay, so the data what you feed here will actually be accessible with an exposed variable. So what is that? So in order for you to spot that variable to actually access this data that you feed here, that is where you can use the inspector. So in the left sidebar, you see there is an inspector. You can pin this, and then you see there is a drop down for components. Inside components, you have the one what we're interested in is table 2. Okay, choose the table 2, and then here you see that there is a new rows. So there is an object here which is exposed, so that it's new rows. So here you can see as you expand, I've not given any data here, but we have given the product ID as 7 and product name as mobile and prices 4234, so which is accessible by the object new rows. So you can just quickly copy the path of it. You just see that copy path to clipboard. So you can just copy that, so that you can just paste it here to keep get it populated. So yeah, how you do it, the format is already shown here as a placeholder there. You can just see that this is how you should be able, you are expected to put the data. So we're going to give three things: product ID and product name and the price of it. So double curly braces following the format, and then just say we'll just say product ID as the first, and then it should be coming from here. So new rows dot product ID should be accessing an array. Yeah, you see that the product ID and 7. So similarly, we'll be going with the same format. We'll be using product right after product ID. We'll need product name, and then we'll say this the same way how we did for previously. Right. So looks like I lost it, but yeah. See that? So while I expand this, you should be able to notice. So what I'm doing here is product ID, and we got this from table 2. So you see that this is the table 2, and then you have the new rows 0 and product ID, and the product name is going to be same way. We are accessing by the same way, like new rows object, and from there we got the product name, and then we got the price from the same way how we did it, the new rows object and the price of it. Okay, so we can close this. Yeah, now let's quickly test it with the same data with the mobile to be added. So let me preview this so that to check. You see that that was a success, and you see the items inserted. Okay, so now I'm gonna unpin this so it goes off, and now you know drop this, also close this. Okay, so yeah, you see that we got only 6 items here. Let me click on products again so that it refreshes and brings the new item. So there you go, mobile. So we got the new item added there. So that's how you can quickly do it. The moment you click on customers, this brings the new data. The products, yes. So now the thing is that we got the query created, which is supposed to add an item. So let me name this accordingly, saying that add product. So now the intention is that now the next move for us is to actually, the moment I click on the wait the moment I click on save, I wanted to run this query add product. Okay, so again, if you remember what we have done previously, we're going to go add an event. So click on event, and then this time we're going to add an event which is going to be like add new row event. On hitting the save button here, which is going to be add new rows, I'm going to run a new query, and the query is going to be add product. Okay, this should be fine. So at the same time, I also wanted to do on success. So while this add product successfully completes, I want to run this query so that it refreshes the data, right? See, you have now added a product, and now in the same table you wanted to refresh it so that you validate if the item is added or not. So for that, I'm going to go add a sequential event on success. So on query success, I'm going to run another query, so which is going to be get data directly. Okay, so let's quickly look at this now. So I'm going to test this by giving product ID as 8 and the product name as okay, maybe a charger. Then the price is 32. And now I click on save, and now it got successful, and there is added, and it refreshed, and now it got us the updated data here into the table. Okay, yeah, that's pretty straightforward, right? So how you we just quickly build this in a matter of minutes, right? So we just got this data from, we created a couple of queries connected to the Cosmos DB and access the data here. And even you have written a SQL query in the previous, I think you have wrote it here, a simple query. But yeah, it can be expanded much more based on your interest. But yeah, that's how you can quickly build apps with Cosmos DB. It's an internal tool for yourself, but the whole intention here is to show you how you can build apps with this combination, and you can choose as your choice. And there are different aspects that you can explore as well.
Great. Well, hey, we have just reached the very end, and I know that there was some comments from someone who goes by El Colombio, and they were asking a little bit about how this works differently from Google Sheets connected with code, but they actually say that this is a tool that they think their company is looking for.
Wow.
They say, there's some big customers, and you can connect Google Sheets, replace them, whatever's better. I know that rather than using Google Sheets as a data set, or a data store, you may want to consider something like Cosmos in place. Anyway, Teja, let's bring Askia back, and let's start getting rolling to the very, very end. We'll say our goodbyes in a minute, but I think it's time for us to do some closing up and remind everybody where they can go, what they can do to let us know what they thought about this session.
Yeah, thank you, Jay. Thank you, Teja. Excellent session. We really appreciate your feedback. So as you can see on the screen and in the chat, we have posted our survey link. If you could just take a moment and fill that out, tell us what you think. We really appreciate the feedback. We definitely take it into consideration. And so if there are things that you'd like to see, put that in there, and we'll definitely take that into consideration. But yeah, thanks again for your time, gentlemen, and excellent session.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Askia. And I know we got a session next month, and I believe it is on Python. So it'll be Python, writing scripts about how to use those scripts alongside with Azure Cosmos DB. Anyway, if you haven't gone, please take this survey. We would love you to give us some feedback on what you thought of this session, and we'd love you to come to more. So keep an eye open. Oh, Teja, please, what's up?
Yeah, so I've seen a pretty good interest in the comments, so I'd be also excited to communicate. So for any of you who have further questions and wanted to explore more about the product and how you can build internal tools on top of Cosmos DB with ToolJet, you can join our Slack. It's tooljet.com/Slack. So it's tooljet.com/Slack. So that's straightforward. So you can just go there and join us in the Slack. And once you're up there, there is a general channel which is the single source for everything. So you can drop your questions and ask anything that you're looking forward for. And yeah, that's pretty much. And I look forward for you in the Slack. And thank you so much for listening to me. And thank you so much for being here, building excited, pretty good things. And I'm much excited what's ahead.
Well, I'm really glad we had you come here, give our viewers a brief introduction to ToolJet, how it can be used with Azure Cosmos DB. We know how to get in touch with you. I know there's also LinkedIn if they want to, but that Slack, it's in the chat. Go check it out. Anyway, I think that does it for us this week. I want to say thank you to my guest Teja. I want to thank Askia always, and our friends at the Reactor for their support. And that being said, I think it's time for us to wave goodbye and say thanks to everybody. We'll see you next time. Have a great rest of your week. And wait a minute, what's this? Yes, that's right. Microsoft Ignite. Don't forget to register. But until then, we'll see you next month. Have a great one, everybody. Take care. Bye now.
See ya.